Welcome to the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. You'll hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and writers that cover the NFL daily. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here's your host, Erin Summers.
We are building something really special, doing it the right way. Every single guy in that locker room, the way they prepare and compete and stay together through each and every experience. The last 2 weeks have been an awesome example of these guys.
The Saints get a walk-off win over the Panthers 20-17 Sunday after a 47-yard field goal from Charlie Smith. Quarterback Tyler Shuck able to drive the team down the field for 2 scores in the fourth quarter to seal the victory. Defensive end Chase Young came up with a huge sack down the stretch and had some great things to say about the Saints' rookie quarterback.
Tyler Shuck, man, he building, man. Every week I can just tell he getting more comfortable. He just starting to look like that guy.
That's back-to-back wins now for the Saints over 2 division rivals. For our podcast guest today, we are breaking down the game against the Panthers and more with former Saints offensive lineman James Hurst. Hurst talks about the win, how the team has been progressing this season, and what he's looking forward to in the future. James, thanks for joining me on the New Orleans Saints podcast. It's a little different having you on this side of it as a member of the media, but I know you're doing a bunch of stuff, keeping up with the Saints still. So how are you?
I'm doing great. Life has been really sweet. We've got a 19-month-old daughter, and we're expecting another one coming April. So we're really happy. I am loving watching football. My body feels significantly better when I'm sitting on the couch than it does running into people at high speeds. But it's been fun. The ties with the Saints, they run deep. My wife's told me many times that she cheers hard for the Saints as if I'm still playing, yet when we watch the Ravens, it's not quite the same feeling. So we just loved our time in New Orleans and love the team. Obviously still have a few friends on the team, so that makes it fun and much more interesting. But yeah, just working with WDSU, covering them, staying in the loop. It's been a really fun and somewhat surprising for me job in the media to see the other side of things and how it functions behind closed doors.
Yeah, we're not that bad, right?
No. We're just all people trying to do our jobs, and sometimes it clashes, and sometimes personalities don't work together. But it's cool. It's cool to see, how you ask questions, how you interview people, how you analyze the game, and what it looks like from a fan's perspective.
Yeah. Before we get into the game most recently against the Panthers, overall, how have you seen this team gel and play together under new leadership and head coach Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier and Brandon Staley? Because there are so many new pieces this season.
There are. And at the start of the season, I was very optimistic. I thought change was necessary just to get some fresh coaches in the building, get a different style of coach, a young coach, quote unquote players coach, if you will. I think that was good, especially considering some of the veterans you have in that locker room that can handle some of those self-discipline, leadership type situations that come up on the field, off the field. So I think it was a great change, and I think we're seeing some of the fruits of that. Coach Moore is a first-year head coach, right? So we have to give him some runway as well because it's his first time doing it. He has to command and control so much more, and I think we've seen his growth as well as the season has progressed. But I feel really positively about it. I think the team is headed in the right direction. They clearly haven't given up. They've only gotten better as the season has went on, winning back-to-back divisional games against teams that they were not expected to beat. So we're feeling really good about it. I personally feel like the quarterback situation has settled down. You've at least got an answer for the rest of this season. I would argue heading into next season as well. And that's the most important position. If you can lock your quarterback in, if the quarterback can be a plus for your team, you have a chance to make the playoffs, make a run, win the division. And I think that's where the Saints' future is. They still have some big pieces that they need, but having the quarterback somewhat settled, and clearly the attitude of the team is there under Coach Moore. So those are intangible things that you have to be successful.
You can kind of point to these last two games in the way that this team continues to fight, the resiliency, the way that they stay together. Tyler Shuck leads you to two game-winning drives, and you do beat two of the best teams in the division, teams that are fighting for postseason contention. And earlier in the year, it might not have happened, but the way that the team is still playing together, despite a lot of injuries that even happened in yesterday's game itself, they were able to overcome that. So I think there's definitely a lot of positives that you can pull from this point in the season. And you mentioned Tyler Shuck and the way that he's playing. I think people feel really good about at least the quarterback position here going forward with Shuck, not necessarily worrying about that position in the draft coming up, and then addressing some other needs.
Yeah, it's still going to be a really important draft. I think the complexion of the draft has changed significantly since Shuck took the job over, because he's won 3 games. He's won half of his starts, 3 of 3, which I don't think people expected. You looked maybe a quarter of the way through the season, and you're talking about the first overall pick, maybe second or third pick, and now we're looking at 8, 10, 12. I mean, that's sort of the trajectory that we're on with our remaining schedule. We're going to be expected to win some games, which feels strange, but it's still going to put you in a great position to be able to pick a great position player who will be expected to come in, start immediately, and make an impact immediately. So I feel good about it. I feel much better about it maybe than a month ago, wondering who you're going to pick a quarterback. Is he going to be the guy? Because that's a gamble as well. But instead, we've got a quarterback who has shown growth. He's on an upward trend, and you have hope for him in the future.
The decision making and his command in the pocket, I think, has really stood out from where he was in training camp. Seemed like he had happy feet at times, wasn't exactly as confident with his reads and where he should go. But now he's breaking away, using his legs, although he still needs to get better at sliding and getting to the ground before contact. I feel like he got beat up a little bit yesterday against the Panthers, but having that ability has been huge. And then he does, even in the game as it went on, he just continued to find different people, even if it was, just kind of check downs, getting down the field, because Devon Vele goes out with a shoulder injury. You don't have him available, and you already have a depleted wide receiver room. And then obviously Devin Neal goes out as well with the hamstring. So you're talking about players that weren't even on the team a month ago. So his ability to manage that situation, or those situations, definitely stands out. What did you see in his play, maybe in just yesterday's game, that you liked?
Yeah, I think I want to echo what you just said, because you talk about the receivers, the running backs. Obviously, Kamara's out, Eric McCoy's out, and these players have been long injured. It wasn't just in yesterday's game, but Vele goes out, who Shuck clearly has a great chemistry with, particularly over the middle. Vele had made some incredible contested catches, took a lot of hard hits. So unfortunately, it's not that surprising that he had to exit the game with an injury. But Shuck, to me, was so impressive, because when we needed it the most, he goes down. I'm calling it the Olave drive, and he's just like, Chris, I'm throwing you the ball. If you have any openness anywhere on the field, you're getting the ball. And he got open. He made the catches, 4 catches on one drive. But that one drive, I mean, Shuck he looked like a 12-year Pro Bowl quarterback. He was quick getting the ball out, which the O-line loves. The D-line gets sick. They get tired of rushing the passer when the ball's coming out in a second and a half instead of 3 seconds. So you see him take the team down, score a touchdown. And then, look, you got to have the points to win the game. And you get the help with the late hit on the quarterback on the slide. But he does enough to go down and kick the game-winning field goal. And when I think about, the first half of the season with Rattler at quarterback, and now with Shuck at quarterback, I've gone back and looked at their stats. They've played pretty much the same amount of football at this point in the season. And truly, their stats, passing and rushing stats, they're almost identical. It was really shocking to me to see that. However, the most important stat is wins and losses. And I think you saw that in the fourth quarter yesterday, is that
Mhm.
Shuck finds a way to win. The team they've elevated their play. Our young secondary, they've really stepped up. And so it seems like you've got a quarterback that's leading the team, and he's making everyone around him better, which as a rookie, that's a really remarkable thing.
You mentioned Chris Olave, and he did have some tough catches as well. But I mean, it was like 17, 16, 15 yards that he was picking up on that drive. And then to get
Mhm.
in for the touchdown in a game that he had been pretty quiet, to be able to kind of turn it on, I think is good as well. Because I think on both sides of the ball, you want to have your go-to players that you can count on. Quarterback being one of them. Defensively, it was Chase Young down the stretch. He made
Yep.
some huge plays. And I think we're finally starting to see what a healthy Chase Young can be,
Yep.
especially in this new system. He's still not that old. Like he
Yeah.
is still a young player as well. That can be a major building block and somebody to take over for maybe some of those vets on the
Yep.
defensive side.
Yeah, I totally agree. You sign Chase Young to a contract extension. He's got an injury that lingers. People start asking questions because
Hmm.
it's a big investment into a premier position on the field. Quarterback, D end, cornerback, wide receiver, to me, and offensive tackle. Those are like your five positions. You've got to have players at those positions because they change the outcome of games. And Chase Young, this is not his first game where the the intensity or the plays start to really matter. We're one play away from winning or losing a game, and he shows up. He's pressuring the quarterback. Had a huge sack yesterday. He's making people uncomfortable.
Hmm.
He's good in the run and the pass. And with Cam Jordan getting a little bit older, it's great to have a new guy in there that's able to provide some of that explosiveness alongside, Cam Jordan's at this point, his steadiness. He's making the plays that come to him, but he's not necessarily jumping off the tape like he did 5 years ago.
Hmm. You mentioned the young secondary. I think this draft class in general has really stood out with Quincy Riley back there, Jonas Sanker,
Yeah.
and then we mentioned Devin Neal earlier. There are a lot of players that I think are going to be key for this team going forward.
hmm
What has impressed you about the rookies and their abilities this season?
Yeah. Quincy Riley has been maybe the last 3 weeks. I feel like he's really shown up. Early in his time getting some snaps, his early starts felt like the entire secondary was out of sorts. Their communication was clearly off, just based on receivers being wide open. 10 yards of separation. That doesn't happen when guys know who they're supposed to cover or how they play the zones or how they play man-to-man defense. So clearly they figured out the communication aspect, but then they're giving him some tough assignments. He's guarding guys one-on-one, man-to-man, and the separation week by week is shrinking. You see him yesterday on the sideline, has a chance for a pick six. I'm hopeful that in four more games or less, he's taken that to the house, right? And
Yeah.
that's a game-changing type play. But again, I go back to the premier positions on the field. Having corners that can shut down receivers one-on-one totally changes the complexion of your defense. It's going to give those pass rushers more time. It's going to confuse the quarterbacks, force them to go to second, third, fourth reads. So having a young guy that stepped up as he has been really, really promising. Being an offensive lineman, Kelvin Banks on the offensive side of the ball, he's been really steady. You don't notice him often, which is really good as an
Yeah.
offensive lineman. I think both him and Fuaga as a second year player, they have the ability to set the tackle position on lock, which is great. That's hugely important. You're expecting to get Eric McCoy back, and when he does play, he's at the top of the NFL at his position. So if he can stay healthy, having two young tackles, a young quarterback, you look at the just kind of the foundation of the roster at those important positions, and you feel really, really great about it. And I think we'll be fortunate next year looking back saying all these rookies, Jonas Sanker, Devin Neal, they're getting opportunities as rookies, and you're gonna see them make big jumps into year two because of the real game experience. Practice is one thing and practice is good, but there's nothing like real game experience.
Yeah. The hits hurt a little more, I think, in real
Yeah.
games. You can actually get hit, and the
Yes,
speed
yes.
is a little bit different. How about Charlie Smith? What a cool story.
Absolutely. I'm so excited for him. Um, the kicker position is completely situational. Outside, inside, weather, the game situation, ball on what hash, defensive block. I mean, right? So you've got three guys, snapper, holder, kicker, and they've just got to tune everything out and do their job like they've done 1,000 times, but with the pressure. And,
Mhm.
you know, in my opinion, I've never been a kicker. But you can see so many guys go on a random practice field, set up a kicking tee, and they could probably nail 65-yard field goals. No problem, one after the other. But it's all mental. It's the pressure of the situation, the importance. You have a chance to win a game. You get one shot at it, and you've been on the sideline for 45 minutes of real time. So to be able to go out there as a young player with only a few kicks in games and to hit a game winner, I'm so excited for him. You could see the praise and the love from his teammates as soon as he made it, which goes a long way. So I'm excited to see where he can go. I think that, we moved on from Groupie, who has also had success with Indianapolis.
Mhm.
And so you like to see when guys get a fresh start somewhere, you like to see that it works out. So in our case, Charlie, it's been a great start. Getting that confidence is huge for him moving forward.
I think what stands out is just the joy that he plays with. He's
Yeah,
just so excited about even being here and being on the practice squad and the
yeah,
opportunity. And then he could not stop talking about getting his home debut and being
yeah,
able to play in the dome and getting to kick there. And for it to end this way, for him to hit, a 42 and then a 47 with, as you mentioned, high pressure situation.
yeah.
No more time is on the clock. This is
No, yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, it's been another fun story to come out of this season and a player that you're rooting for sure.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned the games that are coming up, the Jets, the Titans, and then that last game in Atlanta. I think you could kind of win all three of them
I
and
agree.
end the season on a really high note and just kind of build momentum for next year. I know people have the debate back and forth on where you want to fall in the draft pick, but right now, if you're not going to get number one, number two, I don't think it hurts so much whether you're still around the top 10.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. And even more importantly, if you're looking for a quarterback, you obviously want to be one or two, right?
Sure.
But assuming that we're not, what does it matter if you're four or 12 or anywhere in between? You're still going to have a chance to get a really, really great player. So I think the momentum you can get from these wins, this win streak that potentially could happen,
Mhm.
that will go a lot further than having, two more spots earlier in the draft.
Right now, the Saints have the best record in the division. They're 3-2. It's crazy. And the only
Yes,
team you haven't beaten yet is the Falcons. So you have
yep,
that opportunity. You've got to end the season with a win over them,
you
if
do.
anybody.
Absolutely. I mean, the rivalry is one thing, right?
Mhm.
On the road especially, it's going to feel even better. But it's your last game of the year, and in my mind, you don't match up great against the Falcons. So to me, it says even more if you can come away with a win on the road against them. But again, like will the Saints be favored in that game? It's sort of trending that direction. So it'll be fun to see how do you handle that. That's a
Mhm.
different mindset of walking onto the field as the underdog compared to we're expected to win. And this other team, they don't have anything to lose. So what do you play for? What's your attitude?
Mhm. With the Panthers, they had to have wanted that game a lot more. There's so much more on the line for them.
Absolutely. Yep.
And to be able to rise to the occasion and win that game says a lot about where this team is at for sure. So I like that you are kind of on the same page here, that there are good things ahead, that this is a good foundation to be building off of.
Yeah.
And sure, we won the wins this season, but I think we're going to see the dividends paying off next year for sure.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. It's all sort of looking forward. Everything changed once Chuck took over and once he started having success. It's been a totally different outlook on next season.
So you don't miss it? You don't want to come back and join the
No,
line here?
no, there are probably in one game, there's probably 10 times where I see a hit and I just think to myself, like, I can't believe that I used to do that.
Yeah, willingly.
And used to willingly participate in that kind of violence. There was a time for it, but it's a young man's game, and that time has passed. So it's nice to watch and enjoy it and watch other people hit each other really, really hard.
Yeah. Well, two little girls then. Is that what you said the second one's gonna be a girl?
So we don't know. We'll wait till
Okay.
birth. Yeah, so
Okay.
it'll be a surprise. But either way, you're going to be happy. We've got two nieces, so we've sort of seen what the two girls looks like, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be great. I know.
Yeah,
I have two
yeah.
sisters. I didn't get a brother. So I'm kind of partial to
Yeah,
the girls here. But I appreciate catching up, and I'm excited that things are going well for you. It's always
Thank you.
good to hear from former players and get their perspective as well, because you obviously have a much better and different lens looking at this stuff than somebody like me. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity. It's fun again, to hear people talking or to talk as peers instead of, a locker room interview with the emotion behind it. But I've really enjoyed it, and I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to do it again sometime. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate James taking the time today to talk about the Panthers and the team as a whole. Coach Moore spoke Monday and didn't have any injury updates just yet on guard Cesar Ruiz, running back Devin Neal, or wide receiver Devon Bailey. The Saints do have a day off on Tuesday, and then they'll hit the practice field Wednesday, so we'll be able to get an update on those players and hopefully some others then. So stick with us right here on the Saints podcast. We're here every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the latest Saints news, to recap the victories, right here wherever you get your podcasts. It is the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm your host, Erin Summers. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. Join us 3 times per week on NewOrleansSaints.com, the Saints mobile app, or you can download the podcast on iTunes. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets.